What happens if you eat a few hours before you receive anesthesia? I found out the hard way when I lied to my doctors and almost choked to death on my own vomit during wisdom tooth surgery. I was 19 and terrified of getting my wisdom teeth removed. My dentist said all 4 had to come out, and I'd need to be completely knocked out for the procedure. The night before surgery, they gave me strict instructions. No food or water after midnight. Easy enough, right? Wrong. I have this thing where I get really anxious and can't sleep before big events. So at 2 a.m., I'm lying in bed with my stomach growling, thinking about the surgery in 6 hours. I kept telling myself I wasn't hungry, but the more I thought about not eating, the hungrier I got. It was like that thing where someone tells you not to think about pink elephants. By 3 a.m., I convinced myself that one small snack wouldn't hurt, just something to calm my nerves so I could sleep. I snuck downstairs and ate a slice of leftover pizza. Not a huge piece, just enough to stop the hunger pangs. Then I went back to bed and actually fell asleep. When I woke up, I immediately panicked. The surgery was in 2 hours and I'd eaten 3 hours ago. I knew I was supposed to fast for 8 hours minimum. I thought about calling the dentist's office to confess, but I was too embarrassed. Plus, my parents had already taken the day off work to drive me there and take care of me afterward. When we got to the oral surgeon's office, the nurse asked me the standard pre-surgery questions. When did you last eat or drink anything? I looked at my mom sitting right next to me and lied. Around 9 p.m. last night, the nurse made a note on my chart. My mom smiled and squeezed my hand, proud that I'd followed the instructions so well. They led me back to the surgery room and started an IV. The anesthesiologist was this friendly guy who kept cracking jokes to calm my nerves. You're going to feel really relaxed in about 10 seconds, he said, pushing something into my IV line. Count backwards from 10 for me. I got to about 6 before everything went black. The next thing I remember is waking up choking. There was this horrible taste in my mouth and I couldn't breathe properly. Nurses were rolling me onto my side while someone suctioned stuff out of my throat. I could hear my mom crying and asking what was wrong. The anesthesiologist was talking fast to the nurses about aspiration and oxygen levels. Apparently, that slice of pizza came back up while I was unconscious. Since I was lying on my back with my mouth propped open, the vomit went straight into my lungs instead of out of my mouth. They had to intubate me and put me on oxygen. Instead of a simple outpatient procedure, I ended up spending 2 days in the hospital with aspiration pneumonia. The worst part was when the doctor asked me directly if I'd eaten anything after midnight. I could see my parents staring at me, and I finally broke down and confessed about the pizza. My mom's face went from worried to furious to devastated in about 3 seconds. My dad just shook his head and walked out of the room. The doctor explained that food in your stomach during anesthesia can cause exactly what happened to me. The anesthesia relaxes all your muscles, including the ones that keep food down. You could have died, he said bluntly. Aspiration pneumonia kills people, and if we hadn't caught it immediately, you could have suffered permanent brain damage from lack of oxygen. My parents didn't talk to me for the rest of the day. When we finally got home, my mom said she was disappointed that I'd lied about something so serious. The dentist had to reschedule my wisdom tooth extraction for 6 weeks later. This time, I didn't eat anything for 12 hours beforehand. Now, whenever anyone mentions surgery, I tell them this story. That slice of pizza almost killed me because I was too embarrassed to make a phone call. Sometimes the truth is way less scary than the consequences of lying.